Mr. William Jukes of Bury stood in the dock at Manchester Assizes accused of murder. His victim, 29-year-old George Gordon from Manchester, was a widower who had 3 sons. His family owned a chain of furniture stores, and the accused managed the store in Bury. William Jukes testified that on the morning of the 25th of September, he was in the Lord Nelson pub in Bury, where he remained until approximately 1:45, at which point he went to the store on Bolton Street to find George Gordon waiting for him. Mr. Gordon was in an agitated mood. He had been waiting for Mr. Jukes since 9 a.m. George had come for a pre-arranged appointment to inspect the shop's accounts, an appointment that Mr. Jukes had been postponing for a number of weeks. The conversation continued with George inquiring about a high-value order which had caused the inspection to be delayed. William showed him the items the customer wished to purchase, a double wardrobe and a gilt mirror. George stated that he would take the accounts home with him to review as it was the Jewish New Year and he would be honouring the religious occasion. Before leaving, George helped William take the mirror to the warehouse at the rear of the shop. Jukes claimed that he lost his grip on the mirror and it slipped from its frame. Although it wasn't damaged, George became enraged at William's carelessness and charged at Jukes with a hammer. William dodged his assailant's blows. However, George lost his balance and fell backwards, striking his head on the fire surround. Jukes claimed that he was under the influence of alcohol and believed that George was intent on killing him. So before George could continue his attack, William struck his employer in the forehead in self-defence. Finding his employer dead, William Jukes panicked. He wrapped Mr. Gordon's body in an old rug and bundled it into the wardrobe along with a hammer. He then placed a padlock on the doors. Jukes proceeded back to write a telegram to Mr. Gordon's father, pretending to be George, claiming he was going to Burnley for the night with a couple of friends. Jukes hoped this would give him time to dispose of the body. The prosecution found inconsistencies in the defendant's claims. They portrayed the defendant as deceitful. He had misled his employer with regards to the sale that had delayed the monthly accounts inspection. Not only had it been discovered that a letter purported to have come from the customer had been written by Mr. Jukes' hand, but neither the customer nor her address in Prestwich existed, which raised the question: would George Gordon have found anomalies in the shop's takings? And was that the real reason that William Jukes had killed him? Dr. Robert Mitchell, who performed the autopsy, presented his findings to the court. He had discovered an incision on the back of George's head, a smaller one on the crown, and 5 wounds to his forehead, one of which had damaged the eye socket. His upper jawbone was fractured, and the lower jawbone had been shattered. The doctor concluded that George had died from the blows to his head. However, he stated that the number of injuries were inconsistent with the defendant's claim that the victim had struck their head on the fender and only been struck once with a hammer. He also stated that blood found at the scene and on the defendant's clothing was more likely to have come from a frenzied attack. At the end of the trial, the jury deliberated for just 13 minutes. They found William Jukes guilty of murder. He was hanged on Christmas Eve 1889 at Strangeways Prison in Manchester. His final words were, "Tell my wife that I die happy."